Hi there and welcome. I'm Dr. Charles Smith-Deal, and this presentation will show you how you can remove any fear that you may have. And once you have removed all of your fears using this method, you can restore and recover the basic, natural human emotion of love. And I will explain how this works. If you'll allow me to make one quick suggestion, I suggest that you turn your volume up on high and listen to every word I have to say through this presentation at least one time. And then after that, I suggest you turn the volume way down or the sound off and go through and read the slides. You go through it much faster after you've done it initially, and I think it'll be more meaningful to you. As an introduction, let me just ask a question. Is it possible to remove fear from the human body? The answer is yes, it is. I'm going to show you how to do that exactly. Is it possible to feel only the emotion of love? Yes, it is. And I will also show you how to do that. I'm Dr. Charles Smith-Deal. I'm a retired physician. I practiced medicine for more than 40 years. For the last 20 years of my life thus far, I've been practicing anxiety relief techniques as an anxiety relief specialist. And I will show you what I have learned during that time and guarantee you that if you do what I suggest in this presentation, you can feel much better about your life. Now, this may be an entirely new concept for some of you. If it is, I'm going to ask that you keep your mind open a little bit. I always try to do that during my years of practice. Always keep an open mind. If someone has a new concept, take a look at it, evaluate it, and decide for yourself if it's a bunch of bunk or if it works. Incidentally, when I was first introduced to meridian therapy about 30-some years ago, I didn't believe it. I thought it was a bunch of bunk. It looked absolutely ridiculous to me. My wife was working at that time with Dr. Callahan as a patient of his for a phobia. She had a severe phobia of flying. He said he could remove it over the phone. He charged her a significant amount of money at the time. I would come in the evening and she'd be talking to Dr. Callahan on the phone and tapping on herself, and I thought it was totally ridiculous. Had no idea that it could work. It did work. It removed her fear of flying completely. I didn't understand it, and I forgot about it for a number of years. I had a very busy, active surgical practice at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. At any rate, 20 years later or so, I had rediscovered the method as Gary Craig was doing a presentation on EFT. Again, I thought it was a bunch of bunk. I watched it work. I watched it work again and again and again, and I finally became convinced it was worth investigating. And I wound up investigating it over the next 20 years. It absolutely works. Now, let me say, I will ask you to suspend your disbelief during this presentation. What does that mean? It means, let me give you a quick example. If you go to a movie, it's a science fiction movie, and things happen in there that are, they're impossible, but for the sake of the movie, you suspend your disbelief and you say, yeah, obviously this is possible, it's happening, and you go with it. You enjoy the movie a great deal more. If this is a new method to you, I'll ask you to suspend your disbelief and consider that it may be possible, and I may just be showing you exactly something that will work. And as you will discover later on, I am being quite honest with you. The method does work, and you can prove it for yourself. What I'm going to show you is a unique body-mind method. Now, you know what a mind-body method you've heard of. Deepak Chopra has talked about this many times. And a body-mind method is the opposite. A mind-body connection means, quick example, I'd like you to imagine right now that you have in front of you a beautiful big yellow juicy lemon. And you have a knife and you slice that lemon in half. You take it up to your mouth and you take a big bite of that lemon. Now that's in your mind. You're imagining that. What just happened in your body? If you're a normal human being, and I suspect you are, your salivary glands began to produce saliva. You may have felt a little cramping in the sides of your cheeks near the parotid gland. And saliva began to flow because you imagined a scene, a picture in your mind. The opposite is also true. We've discovered recently that the body-mind method is the opposite. If you stimulate certain parts of your body, you can influence things in your mind. If I show you how to tap on certain acupressure points, it will change the way you feel about an issue. And I'm going to demonstrate that. Enough talk. Let's get on with it. So enjoy the results of this method. Take care. Here's a quick disclaimer. I'll ask you to read this over. Basically, it says that you have to be 18 years of age or older in order to use this method. I do not approve it for anyone under age of 18 without my personal supervision. And you must realize that I'm not practicing medicine. I'm retired from the practice of medicine. I'm not your doctor. If you have any medical conditions, I suggest that you contact your own physician or healthcare provider for that. Read over the disclaimer. Give you a couple of minutes to do that, and then we'll move on. Now, I want to ask you a question. Who are we? I mean, who are we as people? Einstein showed us many years ago, more than 50 years ago, that the universe consists of an enormous mass of organized, swirling energy. And the human body is nothing more than an earth suit for housing energy. So what is human life? Human life consists of circulating energy within a specific earth suit, your own body. Our life force is derived from, and it forever is a part of, universal energy. So you are not your body. You are the life force of circulating energy within a specific earth suit, within your body. Emotion literally refers to energy in motion. As a drop of water is part of the ocean, each individual life force is derived from and forever a part of universal energy. So within our earth suit, we identify, or meaning we feel, this life force as love. This is our original, natural core emotion. As I will explain a bit later, any disruption of this circulating life force or circulating energy causes us to feel bad. We call this bad feeling a negative emotion. Dr. Roger Callahan in 1980 postulated that any disruption of the circulating energy in the body causes all negative emotions. All negative emotions and limiting beliefs represent a fear of something. So a total absence of circulating energy would mean death of the earth suit. And a partial absence of the circulating energy we feel or interpret as a fear of something. When there's no disruption in the circulating energy, our core emotion of love remains intact. And any emotion other than love is neither natural or beneficial. At our best, when motivated by love, almost anything seems possible. I know that you're well aware of this. So who controls what goes on in your life? Your conscious mind, what you're consciously aware of, controls maybe 5 to 10% of your life and your functions. It gathers information with your 5 senses. Their sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And that's it. So the subconscious mind controls 90 to 95% of your life, all your functions. It contains your emotions, your long-term memory, and imagination. The number one goal of the subconscious is to keep us safe. Thus, it helps ensure our survival. The subconscious mind sifts, sorts, and evaluates information gathered by the 5 senses, and then dictates the action that it considers safe, while your conscious mind carries out the action dictated by the subconscious. The conclusion is your subconscious mind dictates every action that you consciously take throughout your life. How can this be? Well, it does so by controlling how that action makes you feel, good or bad, safe or unsafe, secure or insecure. Anxiety is a form of fear, and we feel anxious or we feel anxiety anytime that we're not in complete control of a situation. Makes us afraid. Having control allows us to feel safe. And humans experience really only 2 emotions, either love or fear. And these are sort of on a continuum. They're either or. You can't have both at the same time to any degree. All other emotions represent some mixture of love and fear. And in actuality, only one true emotion exists in the human body, and that is love. Fear represents a disruption of the circulating energy of love. I'm sure you're already aware that within your body you have a circulating or circulatory system that regulates blood flow, and that's called the cardiovascular system. You should also be aware that you have a circulatory system that regulates lymph flowing through the body, called the lymphatic system. Also, you have a circulatory system that regulates the energy flowing throughout the body, and this is called the meridian system. For more than 4,000 years, the Asian cultures have used and learned and studied the circulating energy system or the meridian system, and they found out that it regulates emotions and influences bodily functions. Very, very important, major circulatory system that controls your life. So what do you think makes you afraid anyway of something? You think an event happens and it makes you afraid? Well, it can influence it, but that's not the real cause. The real cause of you being afraid of anything, having any fear, is an interruption or disruption of your circulating energy system in your body, in your earth suit. And I mentioned earlier Dr. Roger Callahan, who was a brilliant psychologist, postulated this in the early 1980s. And he says all, and I underscore the word all negative emotions are caused by a disruption in the body's circulating energy system. How does this work? All right, an unexpected, painful, or frightening event is a shock to your system. And if something is painful or frightening, we're taught to consciously ignore that. You're taught this because people didn't really understand the cause of fear. So denial and distractions are learned attempts to escape fear or pain. If you're a little child, you're running down the street and you fall and you hurt your knee and skin your knee, your mom or your guardian, someone comes and picks you up and says, "Oh, here, sweetie, just don't worry about that old knee. Here's a cookie. Oh, look, there's a puppy. Let's go pet the puppy over there. Don't worry about this old knee." And so your conscious mind is distracted from the pain and the fright that you have felt. And that conscious mind puts that memory immediately, I call it a big old trash basket that we drag around through life. And instead of you recognizing the real cause of this, which is an energy disruption, because your parents didn't know it, almost nobody's known it in the past. So your conscious mind puts that in the big old trash basket and slams the lid on it. Here, sweetie, just don't think about it. Are you aware that if you've never dealt with that particular fear, it's still in that trash basket? Can you imagine how many others are in there over a lifetime? And they're all sitting in that basket there. It's like venomous snakes over a period of time. All of those unresolved fears leak out into your system. And in my opinion, that's the major cause of illness, poor health, anxiety, mental problems through the years. If you go back into that trash basket and pull out those memories one at a time and reprocess them as you really can and should, they go away. And when that basket is empty, guess what remains? One emotion. The original emotion that God gave you before you entered into this world, and that's called love. Now, fear, like all emotions, resides deep in the subconscious mind. I sometimes say that attempting to solve a subconscious problem by using a conscious method, such as typical psychology, talk methods, cognitive behavioral therapy, and so forth, attempting to solve a subconscious problem using a conscious method is like attempting to paint a wall with a screwdriver. Yes, it will work over time. If you spend enough time at it, you'll get some paint on the wall. But you're really using the wrong tools, aren't you? There's a better tool available these days, and it's called meridian therapy. We understand now the cause of all fear. Dr. Callahan was 100% correct, and we know how to remove it. And I'm going to show you that shortly. Here's an interesting thought for you. A memory is only a memory of the last time we recalled a situation or an event. We may not remember things accurately as they occurred years before or even hours before sometimes, but we will recall the last time we thought about it and our evaluation of what we pictured at that time. And this can very well express and explain why memory reprocessing is highly effective. Now, I want to ask you something about focus too, because it's often said that your life, at the end of your life, you're going to look back and you're going to remember those things that you focused on. It's as though you have a camera and you go into an event. Let's say you go to a party and two people go to the same party. And you have a camera and you're focused on your camera and you're filming. And one person goes into a room where somebody's having an argument. And it's a very unpleasant experience for them. And they see nothing but the argument. That's what they focus their camera on. And that's what they remember the next day when they look back on the event. The other person goes into a different room and sees very happy, loving, pleasant people. They're singing, they're enjoying each other, good, pleasant conversations. And they record that with their camera. The next day they say, "What do you think of the party?" And what do you think the response is going to be? One of them had a wonderful time. The other one had a miserable time. They focused on different events. The party was the same party. The events all happen at the same time. What you focus on in your life will determine the quality of your life. Let me give you a quick example. Prior to my asking you this question, were you aware really of the feet in your shoes? Your feet? Move your toes around. You're aware now, aren't you? Were you aware of the tongue inside your mouth? I guarantee you weren't. Are you aware now? Are you also aware that your tongue is smooth on one side and rough on the other? You see the importance of focus? We can't focus on everything around us. It's not possible. The human mind cannot accept all the things that are going on. So it has to focus on those things it considers important. On this slide with words versus pictures, this is important to understand because your conscious mind communicates using words and signals. Your subconscious mind communicates using pictures. So if you say the word bicycle, for instance, your subconscious mind creates a picture of a specific bicycle, one or perhaps several, from your memory. If you say the word home, your subconscious mind creates a picture of a home, and a certain home that you will recall. Very important to understand this difference. By the way, let me mention another thing here. We learned in hypnosis that there are certain words for which there are no pictures. And those words are don't, won't, can't, and not. Quick example of this. If you tell your spouse, sweetheart, don't forget the ice cream when you come home tonight, there's a very good chance that will not be remembered. If you tell your spouse, sweetie, remember the chocolate ice cream when you come home tonight, there's a good chance that will be remembered because the subconscious mind does not have a picture for not remembering something. Don't, won't, can, and not. It's impossible to picture those. This slide is about conscious actions that we can take to help us get what we want in life or succeed. And your desires, conscious desires, are communicated to your subconscious by your thoughts and your words. That is where you focus your attention. So it's very important that you monitor your own thoughts and speech. Anytime you say something aloud, even just a casual statement, your subconscious is listening and it's going to attempt to deliver what it thinks you want. If you say, you know, I'm just not smart enough to do this, your subconscious mind says, okay, we can do that. We'll let you fail at this. If you say, you know, I'm just a terrible salesperson, your subconscious mind is listening and says, sure, we can do that. We'll make you fail at selling. So monitor your thoughts and be very careful what you say. One entity is always listening to everything you say, and that's your own subconscious mind, and it's going to attempt to deliver what you say because it believes that's what you want. Otherwise, you wouldn't focus on it. Make sense? Now, the one exception to this is you have to accept that you have a problem or a negative emotion before you can remove it. As you'll see later on, some denying and distraction don't work. They never have, they never will. I'm going to show you shortly how you actually can remove your fears and any negative emotion. And this will definitely improve your life. The self-help method that I'm going to show you shortly relies on using what we call setup statements. And while your memory, emotions, and imagination reside in the subconscious mind, we can consciously access the subconscious by words. If we create the right setup statement, the conscious mind will communicate through these words. It will help the mind paint select pictures for the subconscious. Then while you hold a specific picture in mind, I'm going to show you how you can stimulate certain acupressure points by fingertip tapping to disconnect the fear response connected to that picture. Make sense? It will shortly. I mentioned at the introduction the body-mind connection, which is a very real thing. Basically, it says it's physically stimulating specific parts of your body will affect what you think and how you feel emotionally. We're taking advantage of this in this method. A quick example, if you wake up with a bad toothache in the morning, do you think that will influence your day or how you think about things or what you feel, how you perform your work, how you feel emotionally? Are you likely to be happy and productive if you have a migraine headache or a pulled back muscle? No. Well, we're going to show you how you can take advantage of this phenomenon once you understand how to use it. Meanwhile, before you begin this method, I'd like you to imprint the access points on this chart and of some following charts, and you're actually imprinting these into your subconscious mind. To begin, I'd like you to look at the chart, start with number 1, which is a crown point. If you will, put a couple of fingers of one hand up on that point, right in the center of the top of your head, and I'd like you to say CR crown point, CR crown point. And then go to the next one, the EB. The EB is the eyebrow points, the inside edge of each eyebrow. Hold with 2 fingers, repeat EB, eyebrow, EB, eyebrow. And then the next, the OE, just outside the corner of either eye, one or both, and it's OE, outside eye, OE, outside eye. The next is UE, the under the eye, and you repeat, please, touch it, hold it, UE, under eye, UE, under eye. Go through all of these. The next is UN, under nose. CH is a chin crease, CH, chin crease, CH, chin crease. Collarbone, the upper part of the chest, you'll feel the bone there, horizontal bone. Tap on that bone a few times, make it vibrate. Say CB, collarbone, CB, collarbone. And if you will, lift up one arm, put your hands of the other hand of the opposite arm over, right in an area where a woman's bra strap would normally sit on the side of the arm, side of the chest, and say UA, underarm, UA, underarm. These are very, very important access points that you need to imprint into your subconscious mind. And your subconscious will remember these points later on when it's important. If you use these points correctly, as I instruct later on, you will be about to remove a fear so completely that it's as though it never existed. And that will help you feel considerably better. The finger access points are described by Dr. Roger Callahan, his method of thought field therapy. And they can be stimulated by either tapping or squeezing them between the fingers of your opposite hand, if you prefer. This can be useful if you're in a public situation and you're trying to get rid of a negative emotion. Somebody's just said something, you're in a group, makes you angry or frightened or whatever, jealous, frustrated. You can reach under the table and press these points while you hold in your mind a picture of the thing that made you angry, and you can remove the anger or the frustration or the fear, and nobody knows you're doing anything. Now look at the picture, read the slide. These are the access points that you'll also use on your fingers. Now, apparently the ring finger doesn't have the acupuncture meridians necessary for correcting the fear response, and the other fingers do, so we don't use the ring finger. Dr. Callahan also discovered this. Again, read this slide and imprint these access points as well. There are only a few points that we use, and by the way, the points never change. So once you get this in your mind, it's very easy for you to do from then on. Your brain sync, or the sync brain, or the SB point, is very important. It's also called the gamut point. That's the little groove in the back of your hand between the knuckles of your fourth finger, your ring finger, and your small finger, and about a ½ inch up towards your wrist. In that groove is that point. The karate chop point is on the outside edge of your hand. If you slammed your hand down like in a karate chop on a table, that's the area of your hand that would contact the table. By the way, the 9-gamut maneuver, which you will read about, I'll give you time to read it, sounds very strange, and it absolutely is a brilliant maneuver that works beautifully. It's really synchronizing the right side of your brain and the left side of your brain and forcing them to work together. There's a little structure called the corpus callosum in the brain that connects to these two sides, and that's what we're actually doing when we do this maneuver. We're forcing the two sides to come into balance. Read this over. You're going to practice it. By the way, you can come back to any of these slides anytime you choose, and to imprint the access points. Just make sure you've done it once through, and then your subconscious will actually remember these points in the future. Read through this slide. Give you time to do that, and then I'll make a few comments. What this slide is telling you is I'd like you to begin with a very small fear, a very small negative emotion, relatively unimportant. And I'd like you to do this because remembering a major emotional or physical trauma can be overwhelming, and we don't want that to happen, not at the beginning. Once you learn this method, then you can deal with very stressful, severe emotional upsets, and you'll do so quite successfully. But you have to first, you're training your subconscious, literally, how to remove a fear. Anger is very easy for most people to remember and to feel. So for your first time through, I'd like you to think of some recent event that just made you angry, made you mad. A quick example, somebody cut you off in traffic this morning, or somebody got in front of you in line at the supermarket or the grocery store. Or at the party last night, your husband said you looked fat in that red dress. Be very specific. And if you can't remember anything that's upset you, your subconscious has already hidden those memories away in that basket that we talked about, and the lid is slammed shut. That means that your subconscious doesn't feel safe letting you access the memory or feel the fear. So keep trying. Realize it is safe to do it because this is a test run only, and it's okay. You're going to get very good at this in time. So bring up something, some memory of something fairly recent, fairly small, made you a little angry. Oh, that moron cut me off in traffic this morning. And hold that memory in mind and picture it. Keep the picture of what happened. Make it as vivid as you can, as though it's happening right now. You know it isn't, but hold that picture in mind. Now then, on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is no feeling at all, and 10 is the strongest anger you felt about that, how angry can you get right now when you remember what happened? And by the way, it's always all right to guess at these numbers. With practice and time, your guesses become very accurate. So pick a number. Just guess at it. Is it really strong? Is it a 9 or a 10 or an 8? Is it very weak? It's a 1 or 2 or 3. Please write this number down. You think you will remember it, I promise. Once we've taken it away and it's gone, you will not be able to remember how strong that was. Write it down. Grocery store, woman, 7. Husband said fat, 10. Okay. Now we're going to get some fun shortly. All right, now here we're going to get into the real basics of emotional recovery techniques. And this method is modified from both thought field therapy and emotional freedom techniques. Your setup statement is, even though I feel blank, what do you feel right now? Even though I feel really angry right now, even though I feel so frustrated right now, even though I feel so sad right now, whatever the negative emotion is, when I remember or think about the time, has to be very specific, that something happened, and you are going to describe in your statement exactly what happened. Remember, we're creating a picture for your subconscious mind, and then we're going to unhook the negative emotion, the fear, from that picture, and you're going to love what you feel in the result. So your statement is, even though I feel whatever you're feeling right now, not what you felt at the time, it may change. What you feel right now, when I remember or think about the time that the lady got in front of me this morning at the grocery store, the guy cut me off in traffic, I deeply and completely accept myself. You're going to repeat this statement up to 3 times. At the beginning, repeat it 3 times. Once you're experienced with the method, once will be enough. Again, read the statement over and practice it with this minor aggravation, angry feeling that you have because of something that happened that was minor. And then, next, we're going to let you use about 3 fingertips of your dominant hand and tap on the karate chop area of your opposite hand and simultaneously repeat the setup statement 3 times. So you're stimulating the karate chop area by tapping on it with fingers of the opposite hand. If you're right-handed, use your fingers to tap on your left hand. If you're left-handed, you reverse that. Visualize the incident in your mind's eye while you're tapping and say your statement. Even though this lady cut me off, got in front of me in line at the grocery store while you're tapping and tapping and tap, 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 tap on your karate chop. I deeply and completely accept myself. You're saying to your subconscious mind, yeah, this happened, it made me angry, and I accept it even though it makes me angry right now. Okay? You can tap hard enough to create a vibration, don't make yourself sore. And then go through those other access points that we just imprinted into your subconscious mind in sequence, starting with the crown spot on the top of your head, and repeat at each point while you're tapping 3 or 4 times, up to 8 or 10 times on each point, a short reminder phrase. And a reminder phrase is a very short statement, usually 2 to 4 words or so, that reminds you of the original event. You must stay focused on the event you're going to correct. Somebody cut you off in traffic this morning. Your reminder phrase, he cut me off in traffic, cut me off in traffic, cut me off in traffic. Makes me really angry, makes me really angry. Cut me off in traffic, makes me really angry. At each of the points that you're going to stimulate, say a reminder phrase. Now, your setup statement is your conscious mind telling your subconscious mind, even though I feel this bad feeling, I accept it right now. And I accept it and I'm going to keep it outside the basket because I'm going to fix this one. I can do something about this one. And then you remove the fear by tapping the access points that will unhook the fear from that picture. Whatever you're mentally focused on is what you influence. Even though I feel really angry, even though I feel anxious right now, when I remember, what are you remembering? I deeply and completely accept myself even with this fear. Now the reminder phrase will keep that same specific picture foremost in your mind's eye without permitting changes. Feel angry, still afraid, whatever, just remember it. Take a couple of minutes to read this slide over, and then I'll make a few comments. All right. The brain sync maneuver, or the 9-gamut maneuver, if you remember, is to synchronize the right and left sides of your brain and make them work together. So when you've done all the actions as it says on the slide, then you go complete a third round of tapping from your access points 1 through 12. By the way, later on, as you get more experience, you may choose not to do the access points on the hand, but they can also be very helpful if you're having an issue that is resistant to your removing it. Use all the points, including those on the hand. When you've done all that again, gone through a third tapping on the access points after the 9-gamut maneuver, stop, have a drink of clean water, look around the room, change your focus, look outside, and then pull up the exact original picture or memory that you had. The guy cut you off in traffic this morning, the lady got in front of me at this line at the supermarket, somebody cut my roses next door, whatever. Get in touch with that same negative feeling that you had originally. Make it as vivid as possible. And then I'd like you to assign a new number to the intensity based on how you feel this instant, right now, about what happened. Not what you remember, what you feel this instant. Write down that new number. It will typically be less than the original feeling. How angry you were, maybe at 8 angry when the event happened. And you've tapped on it, now it may be a 6 or a 7 or a 4 or a 2. May be gone completely, may not, probably won't be gone completely at this early stage. Later on, as you get good at this, you'll be able to remove severe negative emotions very quickly. Good. Now, whatever the negative emotion is now that you have just written down, if it's collapsed to 0, that'll be obvious. There's no feeling there. It doesn't exist. It's gone. Hard to picture it even. But it typically will be some number above a 0. We're going to repeat everything. We'll go through it again. It's a full cycle. But this time your setup statement is going to change slightly. And you're going to use the word still and remaining. In other words, you're going to say, even though I still have some anger, when I think about that person cut me off in traffic this morning, or I still have some frustration when I think about trying to complete this task and I just can't seem to get it finished. I still have some sadness when I think about whatever you're remembering. And this is telling your subconscious you're still working on the original picture, or remaining, even though I still have some remaining anger when I remember that, I deeply and completely accept myself. And you go through the entire thing again. 2 rounds, your setup statement starts, always start by tapping on the karate chop area of the hand. There's a reason for this. And then go through the 12 access points or the 8 access points later on if you choose not to use those on the hand. And you go through that twice, and then you do the 9 gamut maneuver again, and then you do one more round of the tapping on the access points. Then you stop, have a drink of water, look around the room, change your focus, and then pull up the feeling again. Same exact picture, don't let the picture change. By the way, your subconscious mind gets bored quickly. It'll say, oh, that's only a 2 now, it's not important. But this other thing over here that I just thought of was really worse than that. Don't let it do that. Take it, anything you start working on, make sure it goes to 0 completely. If you don't, it'll come back. If you once take it to 0, it will never come back. Promise you. This is for practice right now. I'm teaching you the emotional recovery techniques. And it works for any fear, large or small. All negative emotions can be totally removed using this method. Anger, fear, frustration, guilt, shame, sadness, bereavement, all of them, anything. Each one represents a disruption in the circulating energy system in your own personal earth suit, your body. Such disruptions can always be corrected, and the energy flow can always be restored to normal. That's the way the human body works. Now, there's certain things that will limit how effective this is. Nicotine in your system makes this difficult. Medications, anti-anxiety medications, will limit the effectiveness. Being dehydrated just won't work as well as it will if you're well hydrated. That's one reason I have you keep water handy while you're doing this. We see very good results in using this in my practice over the years. 90 to 95% of thousands of applications that I personally witnessed, this was 100% effective. I often say, when you do exactly as instructed, emotional recovery techniques only works about 100% of the time. 95% plus is close to 100%. This slide will give you some of the scientific basis for why the emotional recovery techniques is so highly effective. Take some time and read this slide over. And by the way, you can pause the presentation if you like to hold the slide long enough to allow you to read it. We all read it at different speeds. A little quick explanation of some of the people. Dr. Lipton, Bruce Lipton, is a PhD cellular biologist, a very brilliant man, worked at Stanford University for several years. And he demonstrated what I tell you about on the slide, that a cell in a petri dish under a high-powered microscope will carry on normal functions as long as certain things are favorable. Temperature, pH, moisture level, available nutrition, so forth. The human body, by the way, is a collection of approximately 50 trillion cells. They're all organized into special groups. One's a liver, one's a heart, one's a brain. But each cell behaves basically the same way. And the two essential requirements are, it's in a love growth mode for a cell to work. And a love growth mode means there is no adrenaline in that cell. it's in a fear retreat mode. It means adrenaline is present, or the energy circulation of the body is disrupted. And if the energy is not circulating normally through that cell, it feels afraid, and it will shut down all functions, closes off its little cell walls. If that happens, the energy doesn't flow past that cell, down to the next cell, or group of cells. And that's what happens to generate a negative emotion. Makes you feel bad. It tells you there's something wrong in your body. Again, read this slide over. You can pause it and take the time to read it and study it if you like. Basically, it says, how are you going to identify an energy block? Well, you follow the bad feelings. If you have fear of something, which is, it can be anger. Anger, by the way, is a fear that somebody's done or said something that has damaged or hurt you. Frustration is a fear that no matter how many times you try to complete a task, you simply can't get it right. You can't do it. Guilt is a fear that you've done something in the past that you shouldn't have done. You don't want anybody to ever find out about it. Shame is somewhat similar. It's a little worse than guilt. Shame is the fear that if anybody ever discovered something you did that was so horrible, you'd never be able to recover from it, and so forth. These negative emotions are like warning lights on the dashboard of a car. They point toward a specific energy disruption. Some cells have shut down their little cell walls. They're not functioning normally. The energy cannot flow through them and continue on down the line to other cells. And you feel that as a negative emotion, which is a fear of something, based on the specific thing that happened and your response to it. If we restore that normal energy circulation, the fear goes away, because the cells open up, they heal themselves, then they transmit the energy and allow it to flow through them, and that's how this works. You transmit a specific picture to your subconscious mind by your setup statement. You then tap on these specific acupressure points that connect to the limbic system of your brain. That's the fear center, the amygdala's specific structure. And you unhook the fear response from the picture you're holding in mind at the moment. Now, if you're trying to tap on the lady cut me off in traffic this morning, you want to fix that, and you're looking out the window and watching somebody trim your lawn or your garden, you're tapping on what you're focused on. You must stay focused on the fear that you want to correct while you're tapping, because you're unhooking the fear response from the picture you currently have in your mind. Once again, read this information on this slide over. Pause the presentation if you like in order to read it. Have time to take it all in. It's a quick summary. And it's really saying, after you do the full cycle 1 to 3 times, you can eliminate the sync brain maneuver. If everything's working well, you can eliminate that after a few times. Always do it at least once or twice at the beginning to get to both sides of your brain working together. And if you get stuck on an issue, you just can't get it to go away, because it's going very slowly from 9 to 8, 7.5, 7, 6. Then go back and do the 9-gamut maneuver, the sync brain maneuver again. That'll speed things up for you. Let me repeat something here, going back to what I said early on in the presentation. As a drop of water is part of the ocean, each individual life force is derived from and forever a part of universal energy. Within each of our Earth suits, we identify this life force as love. That's the force of life that was given to you before you ever came into this world. And it's the only pure emotion that we actually have. Any disruption of this life force that circulates throughout your body or your Earth suit makes you feel bad. That's how you know there's something wrong. And we call this bad feeling a negative emotion. Also remember, every single negative emotion or limiting belief, I can't do this, I'm not smart enough, tall enough, short enough, whatever, is a fear of something. And every fear in your body is caused by a disruption of the circulating energy throughout the trillions of cells in your body. Now, if you have a total absence of that circulating energy, you're dead. You got to have energy in order to be alive, right? And a partial absence or disruption of that circulating energy makes you feel bad. It's a fear. When there's no disruption in the circulating energy, your core emotion of love remains intact, and you know that feeling. It's a wonderful, marvelous feeling. Each of us has that in our body at all times. It's covered up sometimes because of these energy disruptions, and they can all be corrected using this method. When all of your negative emotions have been removed, that trash basket is empty, only one single natural, original emotion remains. And that's the one you were born with, the circulating, God-given life force of love. You read this over. Quick little summary of the process. 1, memorize the basic procedure. Get those access points imprinted in your subconscious. Apply what you've learned here to specific negative emotions. I'm so afraid of this or that, or I'm so frustrated by that, I'm so sad about this thing that happened. Whatever makes you feel bad, apply this method to a specific emotion or event. Can't be general. Oh, I just feel bad. That won't work. I feel bad because of this thing happening. That will work. Take them all to 0. Don't let something stay at a 1 or a 2. Oh, it feels better. It's all right. It'll come back if you do that. Once you take a negative emotion completely to 0, that particular fear will never come back. Okay? Feel better about things now? Good. Final slide here is some acknowledgments of other pioneers in the field of meridian therapy. This is also called energy psychology by some people, although it's not really psychology at all. Or energy medicine, I like that term as well. And I'd like to thank the others who've come before me. One of the first on record was George Goodhart, who was a chiropractor, who developed a method called emotional stress release. Dr. John Diamond was a famous psychiatrist in New York City for many years. He developed the acupuncture emotional system. Dr. Roger Callahan, brilliant psychologist, Southern California, developed thought field therapy, popularized this method more than anyone up to his time. And then Mr. Gary Craig, who developed emotional freedom techniques. He was a student of Callahan's, a brilliant guy, a humanitarian. I have huge respect for both Dr. Callahan and Gary Craig. This method takes it a little step further. I'm Dr. Charles Smithdeal, founder and developer of emotional recovery techniques. I hope you will apply this method Use it. It does work. It's worked in many thousands of applications. It'll work for any human being anywhere in the world who develops the skills to use it. May God continue to bless you and fill you with love. Take care.